A woman in Sulphur is accused of killing her 1-year-old baby. Police were called to Kristen Bass's home close to 8:30 last night.
Welcome to Shocking True Crime. Thanks to all our viewers and subscribers for your support. Stay with us for daily updates on the most shocking true crime stories. Don't forget to subscribe.
It was just after dusk on New Year's Day, 2026, an ordinary night in an ordinary town. Or so it seemed. In this quiet corner of Sulphur, Louisiana, a horrific tragedy unfolded behind these walls. Inside, a mother's chilling words pierced the air, words that would forever alter the course of 2 young lives. "I just sent our baby to God." But what could drive a mother to commit such an unfathomable act? How could a single moment, an evening meant to mark a fresh start, turn into a nightmare so devastating, so incomprehensible, that it would haunt everyone who witnessed it? This is the story of Kristen Bass, the tragic loss of her daughter, and the chilling aftermath that will forever leave more questions than answers. A story of heartbreak, betrayal, and a family torn apart by one incomprehensible act. In a moment that defied all logic, one question remains: what truly happened inside that house on January 1st, 2026? How did a mother, once a caretaker and protector, become the one responsible for the most unimaginable act? Tonight, we dive deep into the tragedy that left a community reeling, a father in anguish, and a mother forever changed. As we unravel the details of this unimaginable crime, we will uncover the chilling moments that led to one of the most devastating events in Sulphur's history. This is more than a story of a crime. It's a tale of loss, pain, and the unbearable reality of a parent's worst nightmare. The question isn't just, why did she do it? It's, how could something so horrific happen in a family, in a place where love was supposed to be? What will we discover? What secrets lie hidden beneath the surface? Stay with us, as we search for answers in the haunting case of Kristen Bass. Kristen Bass, a 28-year-old mother, was no stranger to a complicated past. To those who knew her, she was quiet, often keeping to herself, but never the type to draw attention. Neighbors described her as someone who rarely spoke of her troubles, preferring to keep her emotions guarded behind a soft smile. Yet, behind that quiet demeanor was a woman living with her own unspoken burdens. A woman who, on January 1st, 2026, would shatter her family's world in a way no one could have imagined. Kristen's life was not without its struggles. She had a past, one that she never fully opened up about to anyone, including the man who had shared her life for years, Bradley Moss. The father of their 2 daughters, Bradley loved his children deeply. Those who knew him described him as a devoted father, a man who would do anything for his girls. But his relationship with Kristen was strained, marked by emotional turmoil and unresolved issues. In the days leading up to the tragedy, it seemed that love was still there, but it was buried beneath layers of pressure and unspoken pain. Bradley loved his children, his world revolved around them. Yet, the relationship with Kristen weighed heavily on him. Though they appeared like any other family on the outside, it was clear that behind closed doors, things were not so simple. The strain was undeniable. The emotional distance between them had grown in recent months, a growing divide no one could quite understand. Aislinn Moss was just 1 year old. A child who, by all accounts, was full of life and love. Her laughter was the kind that filled the room, a sound that could melt even the hardest hearts. To her father, she was everything, a symbol of hope and a reminder of life's simplest joys. And yet, this beautiful child, the center of so much love, would become the victim of an unimaginable act. Her smile, forever frozen in photographs, was a stark contrast to the horror that would soon unfold. And then, there was the second daughter, the 2-year-old sister, who would bear witness to a moment no child should ever have to see. The weight of her memory would never leave her, the cry for help she managed to call out that night, the last echo of innocence shattered in a single moment. Neighbor, she always kept to herself. But, sometimes, people go through things you can't see. Maybe she just didn't know how to reach out. Another neighbor, I never thought she'd be capable of something like this. She seemed normal, but, I guess, sometimes there's more behind closed doors. Kristen Bass and Bradley Moss were not strangers to hardship. But in the days leading up to the tragedy, they seemed like any other family, facing challenges but holding on. The unspoken pressures, the unhealed wounds, and the everyday struggle of parenthood formed the backdrop to this heartbreaking incident. The toll of those silent battles, fought alone, would set the stage for a moment no one could have predicted. It was supposed to be a quiet night in, a New Year's Eve to ring in 2026, a chance for the family to reset, to take a deep breath and start fresh. Instead, it would become a night of horror that no one could have predicted, a night that would leave a father's heart shattered and a family destroyed forever. Then, a noise, a loud crash, followed by silence. A sound so jarring, so out of place, it shattered the fragile peace of their home. For Bradley, it was a moment that would haunt him forever. He rushed toward the noise, his heart racing, not knowing what to expect, but fearing the worst. What he saw in that room was a nightmare he could never unsee. His daughter, Aislinn, his baby girl, was lying lifeless, shot. The sound of his 2-year-old daughter crying for help filled the room, her words haunting him as they echoed in his ears. "Help me, Daddy." The sound of Bradley's desperate voice is heart-wrenching, and it cuts through the stillness of the room. His desperation fills the air as he picks up his phone, dialing 911 in a panic. The camera follows his shaking hands as he presses the numbers, his face a mixture of shock and fear. In that moment, everything he knew about love, about family, and about safety, everything, collapsed. What could he do? His baby girl, the child he had cherished, was gone. His world was falling apart, and all he could do was plead for help. 911, what's your emergency? The call to 911 came, but by then, it was already too late. The damage had been done. In the quiet of a home meant for comfort, a mother's cold act had shattered a family's peace. And for Bradley Moss, nothing would ever be the same again. "I just sent our baby to God." In the immediate aftermath of the act, Kristen's words were chilling, almost indifferent. The gravity of what had just transpired hit Bradley like a punch to the gut. A mother's grief, a mother's remorse, was nowhere to be found. Instead, there was only coldness, a chilling lack of emotion that would become the most disturbing part of the case. Detective, interview, what we hear from Kristen, her apparent lack of emotion, becomes one of the most unsettling aspects of this case. Her statement was not one of sorrow, not one of shock or regret, but of cold detachment. It's as if she was speaking about an event that didn't concern her at all. For someone who's just lost a child, you'd expect tears, you'd expect grief. Instead, there was nothing, just that chilling remark. What could drive a mother to make such a statement? Was this simply a result of overwhelming mental strain? Or was there something darker lurking beneath the surface of Kristen's psyche, something deeper than anyone had yet realized? In the days and weeks that followed, investigators would delve into Kristen's past, trying to uncover the truth behind her cold response. What had she been hiding? Was there more to her story than met the eye? Or had her emotions simply hardened over time, becoming numb in the face of a life she no longer wanted to live? When someone reacts in such a detached way, it's often an indication of a deeper emotional crisis. Perhaps Kristen's emotional state had deteriorated long before that night. Perhaps she had been fighting a battle within herself, one she could no longer bear. Kristen Bass's actions on that night may have been influenced by a number of factors, mental, emotional, or perhaps something much darker. As the investigation continues, the questions multiply, but the answers remain frustratingly elusive. When the police arrived at the scene, Kristen had already been taken into custody. But the arrest was just the beginning of unraveling this devastating crime. As officers entered the home, they found a scene that no one could have prepared for, a mother, unshaken, almost eerily calm in the face of a tragedy that no one could have predicted. Local police officer, interview, in my career, I've seen a lot, but I have to say, this one was different. What struck me most was the complete lack of emotion from Kristen. There's a certain kind of shock, a certain kind of grief that you expect from a parent, especially in a case like this. But Kristen, she just stood there. No tears, no screams, nothing. It's rare to see that level of indifference in a case so severe. What was it that turned Kristen from a mother to the perpetrator of such a horrific crime? Was it a moment of insanity, a sudden break from reality, or was it something darker, more deliberate? As the police moved forward with the arrest, the question loomed larger than ever: why would a mother kill her own child? The evidence was clear, but the motive remained a chilling mystery. The arrest marked just the beginning of a long and painful journey. A journey into the depths of a family's unraveling, and into the mind of a mother whose actions defied all reason. But the questions only grew as the investigation continued. What was the driving force behind such a cold, calculated act? Sulphur, Louisiana, a town known for its peace and small-town charm, was now marked by tragedy. What once was a place of familiarity and comfort became the backdrop for a family torn apart, a community left reeling from the horror that unfolded inside a seemingly ordinary home. Interview with Bradley Moss: I almost lost 2 babies. I lost one because her mama wanted to send her to God. Bradley pauses for a moment, his eyes searching the distance as if looking for something that no longer exists. The words hang in the air, and it's clear the weight of what he's just said is overwhelming. Bradley's pain was palpable, raw, as he struggled to come to terms with the horror that unfolded in front of his eyes. The agony of losing his 1-year-old daughter, Aislinn, was unbearable enough. But the shock of betrayal, the shock that the woman he loved, the mother of his children, could be responsible for such a heinous act, was a wound he could never heal. I just can't believe it. She seemed like any other mother. She kept to herself, sure, but I never thought something like this could happen right here in our neighborhood. Neighbor, this kind of thing, it doesn't happen here. We're a small town. We know each other. I can't wrap my head around it. For the people of Sulphur, the shock of the tragedy was something they couldn't escape. A crime of this magnitude didn't fit with the small-town life they knew. Their lives, too, would be forever changed by the actions of one mother, whose decision to take the life of her own child would echo through the streets they once believed were safe. A family's future was stolen in an instant. A mother's crime shattered the lives of those she was meant to love and protect. And as the town tried to process the pain, the real questions began to surface. Why did it happen? What led to this unimaginable act of violence? And what would become of the family left in the wake of it all? As the investigation unfolded, more questions arose. The immediate shock of the crime was only the beginning. Was there a deeper history between Kristen and Bradley that contributed to this moment of violence? What happened in the days leading up to New Year's Day, when everything seemed to implode in such an unimaginable way? Kristen's troubled past, including her volatile relationship with Bradley, began to surface. The cracks in their marriage were visible long before the tragedy. What had seemed like a family trying to hold it together was, in reality, a couple worn down by years of emotional strain and unresolved conflict. Was this act a breaking point, a culmination of all the pressure? Or was there something deeper, something more sinister, lurking just beneath the surface? Psychologist, interview, thoughtful. When we look at the details of Kristen's life, her strained relationship, her apparent lack of remorse, it suggests that something deeper may have been at play. It's possible that Kristen was experiencing a psychotic break, where her reality fractured in an unrecognizable way. But we must also consider the possibility of a much darker secret, one that had been building over time. Emotional neglect, past trauma, or untreated mental illness could have played a role in her actions. It's a tragic combination of circumstances, and the true reason may never be fully understood. What could have triggered Kristen to commit such an act? Was it an uncontrollable emotional outburst, or was it something she had been hiding, a dark secret that slowly poisoned her mind? As the investigation continued, it became clear that the answers would not come easily. And with each new layer uncovered, the complexity of Kristen's mental state grew, leaving the police and the community to question how deep the darkness truly ran. Kristen Bass was booked into jail on charges of first-degree murder. With her bond set at a staggering $10 million, the case was just beginning to unfold in the courts. But what about her mental state? Was she fit to stand trial, or had the events that led to her crime been influenced by factors beyond her control? These were the questions that the court, the prosecution, and the defense would soon have to address. Legal expert, interview. The prosecution will likely focus on the brutality of the crime. There's no denying that what happened that night was horrifying. But the defense will probably argue that Kristen's mental state was compromised, possibly due to untreated mental health issues. They might present her actions as the result of a psychotic break, something that temporarily disconnected her from reality. Legal expert 2, interview, analytical. This case presents a challenge for both sides. There's no question that Kristen's actions were cold and calculated in many ways, but the defense will attempt to show that her psychological condition at the time of the crime played a pivotal role. If they succeed, the court might find her not guilty by reason of insanity, which would have a drastic effect on her sentencing. As the trial moved forward, the public's reaction to Kristen's arrest was one of anger, shock, and disbelief. How could a mother, someone entrusted with the most precious gift of all, her children, commit such an unforgivable act? The community, once shocked by the crime itself, was now left questioning everything they thought they knew about the woman at the center of it all. As the case progressed, the question remained, what is the true story behind Kristen Bass? Was it a crime of madness, a moment of uncontrollable rage, or something more sinister that had been brewing beneath the surface for years? With each new revelation, the community grappled with its own sense of justice and moral reckoning. As the case remains under investigation, the questions linger, questions that have yet to be answered. Why did Kristen do it? What could drive a mother to kill her own child? And will the truth ever be fully revealed? As each day passes, the mystery deepens, and the truth seems more elusive than ever. Bradley Moss, the father who had already lost so much, now faces the unbearable reality of a broken family. His daughter is gone. His trust in the woman he once loved is shattered beyond repair. The investigation, the legal proceedings, and the endless questions offer little solace. For Bradley, this is a pain that no court ruling can undo. The investigation is still ongoing, and with it, the questions remain. Was this a crime born from a moment of madness, or was it something darker, a premeditated act hiding behind layers of deceit and neglect? The answers seem within reach, yet so far away. The truth may be more tragic, more harrowing than we can imagine, or it may be something we could never have foreseen. The story of Aislinn Moss is far from over. It is a story of loss, of pain, and of a family forever marked by a mother's actions. But what lies ahead? Will the truth be uncovered, or will it remain buried beneath the layers of this devastating tragedy? What will the next chapter of this crime reveal? As the investigation unfolds, more answers may come, but will they bring closure? Or will they only uncover more questions, leaving us with the uncomfortable truth that sometimes, the answers we seek may not be the ones we want? And don't forget to click the bell to stay notified of future episodes where we'll uncover more real-life crime story.
Welcome to Shocking True Crime. Thanks to all our viewers and subscribers for your support. Stay with us for daily updates on the most shocking true crime stories. Don't forget to subscribe.